All right, so what are some of the challenges of using a treadmill desk? Um, Treadmill desk is way far superior than sitting down all day, and in my personal opinion, way superior than a standing desk. One challenge was just typing and using the mouse, doing my work. That was a little bit of a challenge. The way I overcame that challenge was using a standing desk at first helped. I did use a standing desk maybe for about 2 or 3 weeks prior to setting up my treadmill desk. Um, the it did take a little bit of getting used to standing and typing, but once I made the transition over to the treadmill desk, I didn't even really notice. So if you are already used to using a standing desk and working on a standing desk, I don't think you'll have any problem uh, converting over to a treadmill desk. And that was really minor. I don't really, it wasn't like a big deal. I mean, it wasn't like a major, major challenge. But everyone's different. So, that may be more of a challenge for you than it is for me. But for the type of work that I'm doing, I'm doing coding, medical coding, a lot of typing, using the mouse, and so forth. I am looking at books, often and referencing different information. But it wasn't really that big of a challenge to make that transition from a standing desk to a treadmill desk. Let's see, another challenge would be probably when you're walking at 1.5 miles per hour. Sometimes I was doing 2 or 3 miles per hour, depending just on what I felt like. When you're taking that many footsteps and you're doing it all day, at the end of the day, you can easily do 10 miles of walking. Easy. So that is a big adjustment. Most people are not walking 10 miles a day. I mean, I don't know what the percentage is, but I would think less than 10% of the population is probably doing 10 miles of walking per day. I could be wrong, I don't know. But anyway, it is a lot of walking on the body. So, as with anything, when you start something new, especially like a workout program, if you've ever gone to the gym and really lifted weights, you do have some body pains. You do have some aches and sores in the beginning. But as your body adjusts, as it acclimates to the routine, those pains go away. So you can expect some soreness in the beginning when you're doing this much walking. But listen, that is so small compared to the benefits of walking on this thing every day. I mean, very, very minimal. For me, my pain may have lasted, I don't think it lasted more than a week and a half at the most. I'm being generous, And one way I cope with that actually is grounding for me. I don't know if you've ever heard of grounding. Do some research on it, but it's a technique that many people use in order to relieve inflammation, to reduce pain in the joints. And I did that frequently in the first thing in the morning. What grounding is actually is where you just walk barefoot on the grass or on the beach, just on the earth. And somehow that energy from the earth actually can, because we are electrical creatures. Our heart has a lot of electricity running through it. Our nervous system has a lot of electricity going through it. And so when we ground, somehow it balances that electrical system out, and the body is able to heal faster. Do some research. I know this may be completely new to you. To a lot of people, that may sound like a really kind of out there for them. But many people, including myself, have seen some excellent results with grounding. I'm a big believer in that. But whatever you do in order to cope with any aches or pains, you may want to incorporate that. But that is to be expected. It's just a little aches and pains, especially in your feet, because you are doing some walking. Having said that, you may want to definitely have some good walking shoes. Again, we're talking about, even if you're doing 1 mile per hour walking and let's say out of the 8-hour day that you work, you walk 6 of those hours, you're looking at 6 miles. That's still a lot of miles. So you want to make sure that you have the proper gear. Another challenge is your clothing. All right, so when you're walking, there's going to be some friction in between your legs, and so you may wear your undergarments out a little faster. So you may want to just get some really good boxer briefs or something to where that there's less friction as you're walking. So I know that seems really random, but that was something that I did notice, that when you're doing this, taking this amount of steps, that's a lot of friction, especially over the course of 8 hours. Another challenge is sweating. So you may want to have some good deodorant. I discourage antiperspirants because when you're walking like this is a great opportunity for the body to sweat. We have pores underneath our armpits and all over our body for a reason, and it's to eliminate what the body needs to eliminate. And sweat is very beneficial for the body. So I discourage antiperspirants. Do your research on that. Many of the antiperspirants have aluminum and a lot of other chemicals that actually can have some side effects to the body. Aluminum especially, you want to stay away from. That's been linked with memory loss and dementia and so forth. So, but you do want to wear appropriate clothing. If you're going to be sweating, you may want to make sure you have your deodorant and some appropriate clothing, so this way, you're not offending anybody else. Fortunately, I work from home, and I know there's a lot of people in my position now working remote that this is not really that big of an issue. Now they do have these shirts and clothing now where it's supposed to absorb a lot of that. It's made specifically for people who sweat throughout the day, and so look into that. I haven't done much research on that, but I do know it's out there, that there is clothing out there specifically for sweaters. And this is really a good thing. This is, to me, part of the whole weight loss that I experienced in the first 2 weeks. I lost 10 pounds in 2 weeks. So that's 5 pounds a week. And I was sweating during that time period. And my skin on my back got extremely clear. So don't think that sweating is a bad thing. We're actually supposed to be sweating out a pint of sweat every day. That's really ideal. That was Dr. Mercola actually had written an article on that about how much we should sweat. So keep that in mind. Sweating is very important. Now, this may not always be convenient depending on where you work. If you're working with a whole bunch of people, you may have to consider a variety of things, but it is so worth getting creative and figuring out how to tackle that. So if you have the right deodorant to help with the body odor, if that's an issue, you can get the correct clothing for that, and you can also take frequent breaks. And if worst case scenario, if it's that serious, you can always take a break, and just take a washcloth, wipe underneath your arms, apply some deodorant, and get back to working. All right, so another challenge may be the type of work that you're doing. So if you're doing a customer service job, you can do this, and I've seen online where many people who are doing customer service have their headset and they're using their treadmill desk. But even at 1 mile per hour, you may get a little winded in your speech. Like even now, as I'm recording this video, I'm having to really control my breath to make sure that I don't sound, out of breath, winded. So that may be something that you do have to consider if you have a customer service job or you're in meetings all the time. That is another challenge. Another challenge may be the actual sound of the treadmill. You may be able to hear it now as I'm on it, but there is this winding sound. So depending on your type of work, that may be another issue. Another issue may be other people looking at you strange, casting judgment. But you know what? This is just going to be one of those challenges we have to face dead on. We know that sitting all day is not an option. It's worse than smoking. That's been proven. We have to do something different. Standing, for myself, and I know a lot of other people out there, isn't as bad as smoking, but it does cause some pain to the joints. And you're still sedentary. You're still not moving. So the best option is a treadmill desk. And people will catch on. I mean, after a while, it's one of those things, people are always it takes a minute for people to embrace something that's different. But once you're constantly doing it, people will get used to it. They will get used to it, especially when they see the results of what you're doing. And that may be another challenge, is actually getting this thing into the office where you work. Perhaps, you're trying to figure out, well, how in the world am I going to even, make this whole situation happen? Do I have to get approval from my manager and all this stuff, all the red tape? I don't know what your situation is. I do know the old saying, it's easier to ask for forgiveness than it is for permission. So sometimes, you just take the initiative and just do it, and it'll kind of pique people's curiosity, and perhaps, it may work out. So you got to just assess your own situation with that. But that's a tough one. That's something that I would really encourage you to really analyze and think about. And if it's not an option for you now, at least plant some seeds to the staff, to your coworkers. Play some videos. Play this video, about all the benefits of walking. And it's just the biggest missed opportunity. So many millions of people are out there just sitting down doing their job. They can be doing the same exact job walking. It's just it just makes sense to me now that I have this machine. It's hard for me to actually take time out of my day to just go for a walk, unless it's a social walk, like a walk with the family. You can walk your pet. That's nice. But just for me to just go out and walk, it's not really a big priority because of this machine. I know that I am multitasking. So this is a great opportunity. Don't miss it. Get creative. Talk to your coworkers about it. Watch videos. Get people excited about it. And you won't regret the benefits that come from this. There's so many benefits. It has such a huge impact on the entire body. And I know that because I'm living proof of that. This has totally changed my life in such a good way. I mean, I was so kind of anti-social media, but I know that this machine can help a lot of people. And there's a lot out there that you can either build it yourself, or you can go to Amazon, or Lifespan has a treadmill desk. There's also Unsit. There's a few companies out there. Currently, right now, I don't have any links to them, but do your research. It is well worth the investment, especially if you're, the majority of our time is spent at work. Sleeping and working is pretty much what we do the most. That's how we spend the most of our time in a week. So anyway, this is Jay. I wanted to talk about those challenges. Don't be afraid to face those challenges. They're not as big as you think they are. And, some of them we can just kind of address one at a time. But the biggest thing is, don't let it stop you from getting this machine. At some point, you're going to have to stop and realize that sitting is just not an option. So thank you for listening to this video. This is Jay with Tread Effect. Keep walking.